Hello and welcome to another episode of Environment This Week. I am Aisha, and in today's episode we will be covering topics which are important from General Studies Paper 3, that is environment and ecology. So what we will be doing is we will be taking news from current affairs and then we will be going deeper into it in the static portion. So let's begin. And the topics that we will be discussing today are Siberian Amur tiger, honey badger, International Year of Camelids, and then Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. So these are the 4 topics which we have taken from current affairs. So let's begin. And Drishti IAS has come up with the IAS GS Foundation course which will be covering both prelims and mains in an offline mode in English medium. So if you want to be taught by the best faculties and teachers, then this is the right option for you. So Prayagraj, the batch has started on 3rd of October 2024. It is 11:30 AM batch. Then Jaipur is 7th October, Lucknow is 16th October, and Karol Bagh, Delhi is 17th October. If you have even the slightest of query in your mind, then give us a call at 8010440440. I repeat, 8010440440. Let's begin with today's episode. The first topic that we will be discussing today is the Siberian Amur tiger. As the name itself is telling that it is a tiger, and Siberian means that it is basically found in the Siberian region of Russia. So if we talk about the Siberian Amur tiger, then this is how it looks like, and it is one of the species of the big cat family, and the name is Siberian tiger, also known as Siberian Amur tiger, and the scientific name is Panthera tigris altica. Then it is carnivorous in nature. Carnivorous in nature means that there is herbivore, carnivore and omnivore. So they are the animals which are feeding onto the herbivores, or you can say that they are the animals which are feeding onto the lesser animal which are in the food chain as compared to them. Then the weight they have is 660 pounds, so they are very heavy in nature, and the height you can say is around 11 feet. So the height is around 11 feet. Then the IUCN Red List, the protection status is IUCN Red List. They are endangered in nature, and CITES they come under Appendix 1. So because they are endangered in nature, the protection becomes important. Now let's talk about them. So the forest where they are found is basically eastern Russia, or you can say specifically about the northeast Russia and the northern Russia. It is in the regions of Siberia, and apart from this they are also found in northern Korea, very less population, and in China also. Then they are reddish, rusty or rusty yellow in color with a black transverse strips, and these black transverse strip are a flagship feature of the tigers, this black strips that we see. And if we talk about the size, then males are larger in size as compared to the females. Then the Siberian tigers, they mate at any time of the year. So it is not that any specific time is there with regard to their mating. So in any time of the year they can mate, and the gestation period is for 3 to 3.5 months. Then the litter size means that how much cubs the mother is producing. So the litter size is normally 2 to 4 cubs, but there are very less chances, but at times as many as 6 cubs can also be seen at one point of time. And the average lifespan of the Siberian tiger is from 16 to 18 years. Now let us talk about the presence of Siberian tiger in India. Usually they are not known for their presence in India, but it is not that they have never been present in India. They were, and 2 endangered Siberian tigers arrived at the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park in West Bengal's Darjeeling. So 2 endangered Siberian tigers, they arrived at the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park in West Bengal, Darjeeling. Knowing the name of the national park becomes very, very important for you, because this is what can be asked, that where are the Siberian tigers or the Siberian Amur tigers being kept in India, or they were translocated in or transferred in India. Then this was the last such big cat died in India at the Nainital Zoo in 2011 due to age related problems. So the last Siberian Amur tiger which was seen in India was at the Nainital Zoo in the year 2011, and after the year 2011 they were not found in India. And then during the time of later 2022-23, it was seen that the Siberian tigers was being transferred to India, and the national park which was selected was Padmaja Naidu National Zoological Park. Then Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park is the highest altitude in India. So the national park which is situated at the highest altitude in India is the Padmaja Naidu National Park, and it hosted a Siberian tiger until the year 2007. And after that the Siberian tigers was not seen, and then it was the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan National Park which was selected for the Siberian tigers. And these Siberian tigers were flown from Cyprus as a part of animal exchange program, and these Siberian tigers which came to India in the animal exchange program, what went out from India was the red panda. So this was about the Siberian Amur tiger. The next topic that we will be covering or discussing is the honey badger, and this is how it looks like, very small in size. Now let us talk about the honey badger. The normal name by which we know it is honey badger, but the scientific name is Mellivora capensis. Mellivora capensis, and they are omnivorous in nature. So they are omnivorous in nature. It means that they can eat plant and animals both. Then they are nocturnal animals. Nocturnal animals means that they come out during night time, and their night vision is very, very prominent and good. They belong to the weasels family. The lifespan is around 7 years. Size is 9 to 11 inches. The weight is around 13 to 30 pounds. And now important point come, and that is what is the protection status of them. So the IUCN red list status is least concern. It means that they are very much in number, and the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 is they come under Schedule 1. Now let us talk about its distribution. So they are found in the part of Africa and Asia. So Africa and Asia both they are found, and fewer locations in India where they are found is the Bannerghatta National Park, Karnataka, then Chilika Lagoon, Odisha, and then Tadoba Andheri Tiger Reserve in Maharashtra. So Maharashtra, Odisha and Karnataka. So you can say that the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats both have the presence of honey badger. Now let us talk about the ecological significance of it, that if they are present in the environment or the biodiversity, what is the ecological significance they have, or what is the importance that they possess. So that is, they maintain the ecological balance. They maintain the ecological balance by preying on smaller animals and pests, helping to control populations and protect crops. Now, because they are omnivorous in nature, so they feed on those small insects or small pests or small animals which are known to cause harm to the crops, or which are known to cause reproduction in a very, very large quantity. So these honey badger or these species or family of weasels, they help in controlling their population and keeping in check at their population. So they are in one way also help in the protection of the crops by feeding on to those small pests and small animals which causes harm to the crop. Next, that is, they also contribute to nutrient cycling by enriching the soil through their diet and waste. So nutrient cycling by enriching the soil means that they give the required nutrients to the soil, because of which the fertility of the soil becomes very good, and this can be done because of their diet and also the waste which they take out or they give back to the soil. Then indicators of ecosystem health. They are also the indicators of ecosystem health, ensuring a diverse and thriving environment for other species. Now, because they are indicators of ecosystem health, now imagine that a area where the crop is not doing well because of a pest or any other insect which are attached to it or is infecting the crop, or any area which is affected by the small animals or small pests on which the honey badger or the Wessel's family is known to feed on, and if their population is increasing in any area, it means that the population of honey badger or the Wessel's family is not prominent in that area, and that is why the species or the number of other species or other animals and insects are increasing in a certain area, and that is why they are also known as the indicators of ecosystem's health. So that particular ecosystem we will come to know that that particular ecosystem is not performing well, and the food chain is not really performing how it should do. Then they are known for their solitary nature and their ability to twist and turn to escape predators, because they are small in size, so they are very fast and they can do quick movements, and the twists and turns are also very quick. So they are known to escape from their predators' sight by the fast movement that they are capable of doing. So this was the second topic. Now comes the part of the third topic, and that is the International Year of Camelids and the International Year of Camelids 2024. So the United Nations has declared 2024 as the International Year of Camelids, and when we say the term camelids, so camels are a part of the family camelids. So camelids is a family of which camels is a part. So the camels that we see in India, the different varieties of camels that we see in India are a part of the family camelids. Then the United Nations has declared 2024 as the International Year of Camelids. Important point for you to remember. This can be asked in the examination. Then the aim for declaring the 2024 as the International Year of Camelids is to highlight the crucial role of camelids in the lives of people globally, so that the world can pay attention to the importance of camelids and what important role they play in the society. Then according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, camelids significantly impact millions of households in over 90 countries, and their role in the food security and economy is that these animals contribute to food security, nutrition, economic growth, particularly benefiting indigenous peoples and local community. We will be discussing this point in detail. See, indigenous people and local communities, how? Because camels are known to survive in harsh conditions, they are known for their resilience, and then they can work as a transportation or logistical tool also. Then comes the economic growth, because they are helpful in transporting things from one place to another place, and they are not very expensive logistical tool. Then comes nutrition, and then food security. They are animals who can survive in really harsh condition, and they are animals who does not require food or you can say water at a regular interval. They can store that in their body and can survive for a long period of time. Now let us talk about the importance of camelids in the society. First and foremost is the contribution to SDG, that is the Sustainable Development Goals. Now Sustainable Development Goal talks about the sustainable living, and they include things like hunger, improvement in poverty. So these are the things in which camelids play an important role, because they work as a transportation tool and a logistical tool. They can transport food stuff, or they can transport any material from one place to another place, and play a very important role, specifically in the semi-arid and the arid regions, where the other modes of transportation becomes very difficult. And secondly, they can work at a very lesser cost, and thirdly, they can also work at a very, you can say, at a lesser food giving or nutrition as compared to what any other animal would require, because they have the capacity to store that in their own body for a longer period of time. Then source of nutrition, it provides milk and meat essential in combating hunger. So the milk can also be taken out from camels, and the meat, camel meat, is also eaten at many places. And recently what has happened in South Africa is the southern South African countries are going through a major droughts. So there the culling of animals is taking place. So camel is also one of those animal which can provide meat in a very high quantity. So that is why it becomes important source of nutrition also, even though this step of culling of wild animals is not prescribed. Then fiber production. Camelid produce fiber used for clothing and shelter. Now clothing, because of their fur also, many a times they are under threat. Transportation and agriculture, one of the major economic tool how they contribute to the economy. Then the means of transportation and produce organic fertilizer for agriculture. Adaptability, their ability to survive in harsh conditions. Camelids are significant in regions like the Andes and the arid lands of Africa and Asia. And camels in the parts of Rajasthan is very famous mode of transportation and adaptability. Then climate change awareness, because camelids symbolize resilience and can help raise awareness about climate change. Resilience is that they do not give up easily. They are animals which can survive for a longer period of time at a very low requirement of food and water. So this shows their resilience, and also this shows their adaptability of being able to survive nicely in good conditions and also being able to survive nicely in harsh conditions. Now let us talk about the camelids or Camelidae family. So they are divided into two parts. First is Old World camelids, and then there is New World camelids. Old World camelids has 3 varieties and New World camelids has 4 varieties. So first is Old World camelids, that is the dromedary camels, Bactrian camel, wild Bactrian camel. Then comes the New World camelids, that is llama, alpaca, guanco and visana. So these are the different varieties of camels. But what becomes important for us is to know about the Indian camels and the types or the different types of camels which are found in India. So if we talk from India's regard or India's perspective, so there are in total 9 types of or 9 varieties of camels that is found in India. So let us discuss one by one. First and foremost is the and very famous, that is Bikaneri, found in Rajasthan. So Bikaneri camel found in Rajasthan. They are highest in population in India and is a good drought animal. This we have already discussed. Highest population in India of camels is Bikaneri camel. Second comes Jaisalmer, Rajasthan. Well known for riding and race potential and second highest in number. Third is Jalori, Rajasthan. So it is a medium sized breed of camel with an active temperament. Then Kutch, Gujarat, highest milk producer. So when we talk about the milk that we just discussed, wait, let me just show you. Okay, we also talked about, okay, source of nutrition, provide milk. So the camels which are found in the Andes, America, that is very famous for their milk production, and in India they are found in Kutch. Okay, Kutch, Gujarat, highest milk producer. Then comes Malvi, Madhya Pradesh, light or off-white color and small body size. So comparatively they are smaller in size. Then Marwadi, Rajasthan, used for carrying heavy loads and performing heavy agricultural operations. Very important, and these are the type or species of camels which you see in movies also. Then Mewadi, Rajasthan. First was Marwadi, this is Mewadi. Fit for the hot climate of the Aravalli mountain range, considered as a high milk producer. So this is also a high milk producer. Then comes Mewati, Rajasthan and Haryana. So they are mainly used as drought animals. Then comes Kharai, Gujarat. Well adapted to both dry land as well as coastal ecosystem in Kutch. They have the swimming capacity in seawater. And if I am not wrong, I think a question has also been asked, and it is a PYQ about the swimming camel. So this was the Kharai, found in Gujarat. Excellent swimming capacity in seawater and this breed can tolerate water with high TDS of up to 10,000 parts per million. Then comes the next topic, and that is the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. So this is GBF, that is the Global Biodiversity Framework, and it took place both in Kunming and Montreal. Kunming is a place which is present in China and Montreal is in Canada. So half meeting or the first part took place in Kunming, China, and the second part took place in Montreal, and the name is Global Biodiversity Framework. So the Kunming Global Biodiversity Framework, it was adopted at the second conference of parties at the United Convention on Biological Diversity. So took place in United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, and the COP was 15th. And the Global Biological Framework, it includes 4 goals and 23 targets, and the target year is 2030. Then the UN Biodiversity Conference, it concluded in Canada's Montreal, and the first part was Kunming, China. Now few of the key targets which took place at the Kunming, Montreal, and that is 30 by 30 deal, most famous among all the targets, that is 30 by 30 deal. So to restore 30% degraded ecosystem globally on land and sea by the year 2030. Always remember, that is why it is called 30-30. Target year is 2030, and restoring 30% of degraded ecosystem, land and sea. Second is conserve and manage 30% areas, and this area is terrestrial, inland water, and coastal and marine water. Target year is 2030. Then comes next, and that is the stop the extinction of known species by 2050. Target year is 2050, and this can reduce tenfold the extinction risk and rate of all species. Then next is the reduce risk from pesticides by at least 50% by the year 2030. So the target year is always 2030 in all these. So you see 2030, 2030, 2030. So majority, if you are seeing 2030, don't consider that don't assume that everything is 2030. In between there was 2050 also, and this is stop the extinction of known species. Then comes next, that is reduce pollution risk and negative impact of pollution from all sources by 2030. Then reduce global footprint of consumption by 2030. So in all this was the target year which was different, and that is 2050, and this is with regard to stop the extinction of known species. Now there were 23 targets which was set at COP15. We discussed few of the main ones, but in total there were 23 targets, and a total of 196 countries signed a historic deal to protect 30% of the world for nature by 2030 in Montreal. So 196 countries agreed and signed on the Montreal Protocol. So let me just tell you all these targets. I will not discuss everything in detail. I'll just tell you for what is it related to, or what is it associated with. So first is reducing threats to biodiversity. First is halting biodiversity loss. Second becomes effective restoration. Third, mapping linkages. Fourth, saving endangered species. Fifth, protecting wild species. Sixth, invasive alien species, how they can be tackled. Seventh is tackling pollution. Eighth is climate crisis. Then comes the next lot, and that is meeting human requirements through sustainable use. So ninth becomes serving humans, ecosystem productivity, handling nature's contribution, biodiversity in urban areas or urban fabric, sharing genetic resources, policy making, legal perils for businesses, making eco-friendly choices, biosecurity measures, removal of harmful incentives. Then comes biodiversity finance. This is an important point, that from where the finance of saving the biodiversity will come from. They have to come from the developed nation. Then technical cooperation, sharing knowledge, equal representation of all, gender-based review. So these were the in total 23 targets which was signed at COP15. So these were the 4 topics that we discussed in detail, and now I'll be telling you I'll be asking you few of the questions associated with these topics, and these are the practice questions, and like always, you people will give me the answer in the comment section. And how are you supposed to do? So that is type 1, 2, 3 and 4 and give the answer in the same manner. So the first question is, the Siberian Amur tiger is found in which of the following places? West Russia, China, North Korea, or all of the above? Second question, the IUCN status of the honey badger is critically endangered, vulnerable, least concern, or endangered. Third, the International Year of Camelids is proposed by, so that is Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, Brazil. Now this is the answer I want to see, that how many of you gives it right. Even if you do not know, try to attempt the question. The Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework was adopted at COP10, COP12, COP15 or COP17. Now give me the answer in the comment section, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.